Officers arrest black woman in uniform. They make one call that shattered their lives. What the hell do you think you're doing? I'm on duty. Her voice cut through the parking lot like a blade. Cold, furious. Hands held high in surrender, but shaking. She was still in her uniform, navy blue with the city patch on the arm. Sergeant stripes. Gun holstered. Badge visible. Didn't matter. Two officers had her face down on the concrete, knees shoved into her back, her cheeks scraping the asphalt. Her radio crackled uselessly at her side. Get off me, she shouted again, more panic now than rage. I'm a cop. Look at my damn ID. Look at my badge. They didn't. Or they wouldn't. One of them kept yelling, stop resisting, as she gasped under his weight. The other clicked on his mic, requesting backup like she was some armed threat. Civilians had gathered. Phones were out. A woman screamed, she's a cop. She's a cop. And she was. Sergeant Maya Hart, 12 years on the force, clean record, 2 commendations, no complaints. But none of that mattered right now. Not her name. Not her badge. Just her skin and the streetlight. Call Lieutenant Brooks, she wheezed. Make one call. The younger officer, Harris, she caught the nameplate, froze for half a second. Like something in her voice reached him. A warning, maybe. Or a promise. But his partner shook his head. No calls till we're at precinct. Harris hesitated again. Looked down at Maya. Looked around. Then, he reached for his phone. Who are you calling? The older officer barked. Harris didn't answer. He turned away, thumb tapping numbers. That was the moment. The moment everything changed. Not when she hit the pavement. Not when they cuffed her. It was that call. And 30 minutes later, the arresting officers were in separate rooms, stripped of their badges. Internal Affairs was on scene. A city lawyer was en route. And someone else was already whispering the words no one wanted to say out loud. How deep does this go? 2 weeks earlier, Maya Hart had been standing in her kitchen, staring at a cracked eggshell in her palm, wondering when she'd last slept through the night. The ceiling fan buzzed like a bad fluorescent light. A pot of coffee burned on the machine behind her. Her German Shepherd, Solo, patted across the linoleum and nudged her leg. Yeah, I know, she muttered. I'm slow. She dumped the eggshell, cracked another, and tried not to think about the ache behind her eyes. For overnight shifts back to back. Double homicide last week. A missing kid case still open. And that other thing, whatever it was, still gnawing at the edges of her mind. The calls that never showed up on the call log. The silence on the other end. The names that kept disappearing from paperwork. Something wasn't right. She could feel it. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown caller. She stared at it. Let it buzz once more. Then picked up. Sergeant Hart. A beat of silence. Then a man's voice. Calm. Deep. Measured. It's already started. She opened her mouth, but he'd already hung up. Maya stared at the screen. 1 second passed. Then 2. Solo barked once. She flinched. It wasn't the first time she'd gotten that call, but it was the first time it didn't feel like a prank. She turned off the stove, set the pan aside, and grabbed her badge. Whatever it wasn't waiting anymore. Later that morning, she pulled into the precinct, tired but alert, scanning the lot like she always did. She'd gotten good at noticing little things. New cars, new faces, small shifts in mood. Today, something was off. She parked. Stepped inside. The air in the station felt colder than usual. Dispatch gave her a half smile. Lieutenant Brooks is asking for you. Maya blinked. Did he say why? Didn't need to. Her stomach twisted, but she kept her face flat. She walked the hall past the squad room, past the break area where Jenkins and Lyle were arguing over basketball again, until she reached Brooks' door. He looked up as she knocked. Come in. His face was tight, pale, like he hadn't slept. Maya sat, waited. He didn't speak right away, just tapped a folder on his desk, then pushed it toward her. She opened it. Photos, names, addresses, and one image that made her hands go still. A surveillance shot of a woman handing off what looked like a manila envelope outside City Hall. Her face was blurred, but the build, the posture, the uniform, it looked like Maya. I've never seen this, she said quietly. Brooks nodded. That's what I thought. She looked up. You think someone's using me as a cover? I think someone wants you out of the picture. Maya sat back, her throat dry. Who the hell's running this? Brooks hesitated. That's why I need you to keep quiet. For now, keep working like nothing's changed. Let them think you haven't seen this. She looked at him. Really looked. You trust me with this? I do, he said. But I don't know who else I can. Maya nodded, closed the file, stood. Then I guess I'll act like I haven't seen anything. Outside his office, the precinct felt different. Too loud, too quiet. All at once, she moved through it like a shadow and didn't say a word. But her mind was already working because someone had made a move, and she was going to make the next one count. Maya walked out of Brooks' office with her pulse climbing, her face calm. She'd mastered that balance long ago, stoic on the outside, storm underneath. That file hadn't just shaken her. It had confirmed something she didn't want to admit. This wasn't just a setup. It was personal. She kept moving through the station, past familiar desks and faces, nodding at the usual jokes, the tired complaints. Everything looked the same, but she could feel it, like someone had rearranged the furniture just enough to make her trip if she stopped paying attention. Her phone buzzed in her jacket pocket. Text from Lieutenant Brooks. No more talking in the building. Not safe. She didn't react. Just slid the phone away, turned the corner, and stepped into the restroom. The silence inside hit her like a wall. She locked the door, took 3 deep breaths, then leaned over the sink and stared into the mirror. Her reflection looked back with a flat expression. Short-cropped curls, faint lines around her mouth, tired eyes that had seen too much and were now seeing more. She whispered, "Who the hell are you protecting, Brooks?" Because that's what this was. He wasn't just afraid for her. He was afraid of whoever was behind this. And that folder? It hadn't come through official channels. That meant someone in internal affairs, or higher, had slipped it to him. She splashed cold water on her face, dried it, and walked back out. Time to dig. At her desk, Maya booted up her system like always. But instead of reports or open cases, she went back through incident logs, quiet ones. Things that never made the news. Suspensions that didn't add up. Disciplinary actions quietly dropped. She looked for patterns. It didn't take long. 3 officers reassigned last year under performance concerns, all from the same narcotics task force. One of them, Officer Deshaun Ricks, had submitted an anonymous complaint a week before his transfer. She recognized the timestamp from a deleted folder she'd stumbled across months ago. She hadn't thought much of it then. Now it felt like a breadcrumb. She tapped through archived video logs from building security. All wiped, except for one glitchy clip labeled Evidence Locker 3A 02/17, 3:18 a.m. She opened it. The image stuttered. Dim hallway. Empty. Then movement. A figure, hoodie up, moving fast. Gloved hands unlocking the inner cage. Pulling something out of a brown paper bag. Something small. Unmarked. Maya paused the clip. Zoomed in. Froze it. Tattoo on the wrist. She knew that tattoo. Officer Matt Orton. Narcotics. Still active. Still loud at roll call. Still pretending like he was just another good cop doing hard work. Her jaw clenched. She printed the still. Folded it into her notebook. Then made a call. Yo, you serious? You trying to talk about that now? Deshaun Ricks stood in the back of his mechanic shop, hands greasy, tank top stained, staring at her like she'd just asked him to dig up a body. I know you got pushed out, Maya said. I know it wasn't performance. You were solid. He wiped his hands, then laughed once, short, bitter. You sound like someone who hasn't learned when to shut up. I'm not here for payback. I'm here because they're coming for me now. Someone's using me as a pawn. That quieted him. I found video of Orton in the evidence locker, she said. I'm guessing that rings a bell. Deshaun didn't answer right away. Then he leaned back against a metal shelf, arms folded. I was going to blow the whistle, he said. They were moving product from busts. Not just reselling. They were placing it. In cars. In homes. People who'd never touched a damn thing suddenly had enough powder in their trunk to get 20 years. Why? Maya asked. For stats. He shook his head. For leverage. Control. You make someone dirty, they'll do whatever you tell them. Especially if they already got a record. Or kids. Or family in the system. Maya felt the chill again. Did you tell Brooks? Yeah. He told me to keep quiet and wait for him to handle it. 2 weeks later I was gone. No warning. That tracked. Brooks had been trying to keep things buried. Quietly. Carefully. But now it wasn't quiet anymore. Maya reached into her notebook, pulled out the printed still. Showed it to Deshaun. You want in? She asked. He stared at the image for a long moment. Then he nodded. I want blood. She got back to her car around 8:30 p.m., heart pounding harder than it should have been. The sky was a deep blue fading to black, parking lot mostly empty. She opened the door, slid inside, started the engine, and paused. Something felt off. She looked down. Passenger seat had a slip of paper on it. She hadn't left anything there. She reached over slowly, picked it up. One line, printed in clean block letters. You're getting too close. Stop digging. Her hands went cold. No signature. No threats. Just a warning. But it wasn't the paper that scared her most. It was the fact that her car had been locked. And whoever left the note had gotten inside anyway. Back at home, Maya locked the doors behind her, pulled the blinds, and grabbed her off-duty Glock from the safe under the stairs. Solo paced the hallway, ears twitching. Sensing it too, she opened a new folder on her encrypted drive, labeled it Everything. She uploaded the photo of Orton, the notes from Deshawn, the call log, the footage, the file Brooks gave her. She set it to automatically copy to 2 external backups. Then she recorded a voice message. Her voice steady, focused. If anything happens to me, this drive has everything. Send it to Brooks, IA, and every reporter you trust. I've traced the corruption to active duty officers. I don't know how high it goes yet, but I'm close. She sent the recording to her sister, Lena, then sat in the dark with her gun in her lap. Because someone knew she was getting close, and they were starting to get sloppy. That was their mistake. Because Maya's heart didn't rattle. She loaded the weapon, stared at the door, and waited. Solo's low growl was the first sign. Not the deep bark he gave for doorbells or delivery guys. This was different. A warning. Low. Primal. The sound he made when he sensed something that didn't belong. Maya rose quietly from the couch, Glock in hand, moving with practiced silence toward the hallway. She clicked off the safety. Her finger brushed the trigger guard. Solo stood alert beside her, hackles up, eyes fixed on the front door. Then came the soft knock. Not a pounding. Not even urgent. Just 2 slow taps. Almost polite. Maya pressed her back against the wall, out of direct line of sight. The knock came again. She glanced toward the security panel. Nothing tripped. Whoever was outside hadn't crossed the threshold. No motion light. No alarm. She took a breath, edged toward the peephole, careful not to cast a shadow. A man stood there, hands visible, no weapon drawn. White button-down shirt. No jacket. Late 40s, maybe 50. Tall. Clean-shaven. Calm. But Maya's stomach dropped. She knew that face. Chief Deputy Kenneth Rayburn. City's golden boy. NYU law grad turned federal task force lead turned chief deputy of operations. Never returned emails. Never appeared in precincts unless there was a camera. And now he was at her front door, alone, unannounced, at 10:14 p.m. She kept the gun low and opened the door an inch. "What the hell are you doing at my house?" she asked. His smile was small, tight, like it hurt to fake it. "Sergeant Hart, I just need 10 minutes. No threats. No tricks. Just a conversation." That's a strange way to say, "I'm here to scare you." I would have called. But I know you're not answering unknown numbers anymore. That stopped her cold. "How do you know that?" "I know a lot of things. Like what you found on Officer Orton. Like what you've been looking into since Brooks gave you that file." She stiffened. "I'm not here to threaten you," Rayburn said. "I'm here because I think we might want the same thing." She opened the door wider, but not all the way. "You have 2 minutes." He stepped just inside, slow and careful. Solo watched him, tense but silent. Rayburn nodded at the dog. "Smart. He'll know before you do if I'm lying. Then say something worth my time." He stayed by the door. "You're chasing a trail that leads to something bigger than dirty cops," he said. "What Orton's doing? That's not freelance. It's contracted. Authorized." Maya blinked. "Authorized by who?" He didn't answer. She stepped closer, gun still low. "You better start telling the truth, Rayburn. Because if you're here to clean this up quietly, I swear to God I will light this whole department on fire." His face didn't change, but his voice dropped a level. 6 months ago, we started seeing signs that someone was using city resources to build leverage on judges, city attorneys, and council aides. Not for money. For control. Votes. Court outcomes. Policy. They'd plant evidence, manipulate reports, then offer to make it go away for favors. "Blackmail," Maya said. Rayburn nodded. "But surgical. Professional. Hidden inside routine arrests. And you let it happen?" "I've been trying to isolate the core. I couldn't go public. Too many connections. Too many people who'd shut it down before it ever saw daylight. So you waited. And let innocent people take the fall." He didn't deny it. "I thought Brooks could help. Quietly. I was wrong. He froze. You, though? He looked at her now, really looked. You didn't freeze. She stared at him, trying to find the lie in his eyes. But all she saw was a man who looked like he hadn't slept in a week and was barely holding his mask together. What do you want from me? She asked. Help me finish this. Quietly. I get you full immunity, protection for anyone you name. You keep feeding me evidence. We make it airtight, and then we bring the whole thing down together. She let out a bitter laugh. You show up in the middle of the night, say all the right things, and expect me to just trust you? I expect you to consider the alternative. He pulled something from his inside coat pocket. A burner phone. This is secure, he said. You call me when you're ready. But make no mistake, if you wait too long, you won't get another chance. He turned to leave, then paused. And Sergeant, she raised an eyebrow. They were going to plant something in your cruiser next week. A stash. Anonymous tip. Get you arrested on the spot. Someone made the call today to move it up. That's why you're on borrowed time. She said nothing. He opened the door and stepped out into the night. No car on the curb. No backup. Just darkness. Maya closed the door behind him, locked it, then stood there for a long time, phone still in her hand. Solo came to her side and sat. What the hell did we just step into, boy? He thumped his tail once against the floor. She crouched and rubbed the space behind his ears. Because now, everything was moving faster. Rayburn, the note, the warning, the stash. They were coming for her. She needed proof. She needed allies. And she needed it fast. Her eyes drifted to the burner phone, then to the encrypted drive, then, finally, to her uniform, folded over the back of a chair. She'd wear it tomorrow, just in time to walk straight into the trap. But this time, she'd be ready. The sun came up dull and gray, the kind of morning that made the whole city feel hungover. Maya sat in her parked cruiser, already in uniform, parked 2 blocks from the precinct. She hadn't gone home after shift briefing. She'd parked here instead, watching, waiting, calculating. She knew the setup was coming. Rayburn had been clear. An anonymous tip, a planted stash, and an arrest that would knock her off the board before she could move any further. That's how they did it. Cut you off at the knees and call it protocol. But not today. Today, she was going to let them make their move. And flipped the whole table. She checked her dash cam feed again. Running, time-stamped, streaming to a hidden external drive she'd mounted under the dashboard trim. Audio too. High quality. Redundant backups. It was live feeding to the cloud through a mobile hotspot. She'd tested it 3 times before sunrise. If they tried anything, she'd have it. Solo wasn't with her. Too risky. She'd left him with Lena last night. No explanation. Just, I need him with you for a few days. Her sister hadn't asked questions. Maya picked up her radio. Unit 721 en route to site check. Copy. Dispatch crackled back. Copy, 721. Proceed. No stutter. No pause. No sign anyone behind that mic knew what was coming. She rolled out slow, past the liquor store, past the old church with the busted bell. A regular patrol. Nothing suspicious. But every corner felt like a test. She rounded onto Branton Avenue. That was the route they'd want her to take. Industrial, empty, lined with cheap fences and abandoned warehouses. Few witnesses. Plenty of blind spots. Her phone buzzed once. Unknown number. Second alley past Easton. Be ready. Her chest tightened. She read it again. Deleted it. Looked up. There it was. The alley. She slowed, heart hammering in her throat. A gray sedan was parked crooked across from the entrance. No plates. Windows tinted darker than legal. She passed it without stopping. Drove 3 blocks further. Then pulled over, cut her lights, and waited. 2 minutes. Then, the gray sedan eased into the alley and stopped behind a blue Honda Civic. That Civic had been reported stolen last week. Now it was back, parked neat, with its hood still warm. Maya hit the ignition and turned back. Slowly, carefully. 1 block over, she rolled up beside a chain-link fence and watched. A man got out of the gray sedan. Gloves, ball cap, ducked low, popped the Civic's trunk. She saw it, clear as day. A black duffel. He opened it, pulled something out. Something plastic-wrapped and white. She pressed record again, just in case. Then turned on her radio mic and clicked it twice. Open signal. The man dropped the bag into the trunk, closed it, and got back in the sedan. It rolled off quiet, out the far end of the alley. Maya waited, then rolled toward the Civic. Pulled up behind it. Stepped out, hand on her holster. Opened the trunk. There it was. Unmarked duffel. No ID. No scent tags. She unzipped it. Her throat tightened. Drugs. Kilos. Neat bricks. Enough to put anyone away for life. She took a photo. Then 2 more. Then, "Hey, what are you doing?" The voice came sharp from her left. She looked up. Officer Orton stood 10 feet away, hand on his weapon, smirk on his face like a man who'd already won. Maya stayed still. "I could ask you the same," she said. "You're way out of your lane, Hart. This your Civic? You tell me. You're the one searching it without a warrant." He stepped closer. "You always pull over and go through people's trunks on patrol?" "Only when someone tips me off about a major drop happening in my district." Orton's face shifted just a little. "Enough." Maya raised her phone. Smile. Snap. His eyes went wide. That's when the gray sedan came back. Different man this time. Bigger. Bald. Sunglasses, even in the shadows. He stepped out fast. Came up on her side. Maya turned, gun drawn. "Get your hands where I can see them." Orton lunged. She spun, kept him in her periphery, kept the new guy in front. Then, "Drop it. Drop the weapon." A new voice behind her. Shouted. Angry. She froze. Spun to see 2 marked units screech to a stop, tires squealing. 4 officers leapt out. Guns drawn. Pointed at her. "Hands up. Now." "Are you serious?" she shouted, backing against the Civic. "I'm on duty. Badge number 6217. I'm a sergeant with this department." "Down on your knees. Hands behind your head." One of them stepped in, tackled her hard. Slammed her into the pavement. Gun flying. Cheek scraping. The same scene that would later go viral. The same footage that would trigger public outrage. But right now, all Maya could think was, this is the moment. As cuffs clicked around her wrists, she made eye contact with one officer. Harris. Young. Hesitant. She saw it in his eyes. He knew something was wrong. She gasped, voice hoarse. "Call Lieutenant Brooks." "Make one call." He blinked. Swallowed. The others yanked her up. She was cuffed. Bruised. Bleeding. But smiling. Because every second was on video. Every voice. Every threat. Every lie. And as Officer Harris pulled out his phone and stepped away from the group, glancing back at her just once, she knew. They'd just set off the bomb themselves. The metal chair dug into Maya's spine. Her wrists ached from the cuffs, still too tight. Dried blood caked the side of her face. A single strip of fluorescent light buzzed overhead, flickering every few seconds. She was alone, at least for now. They hadn't even let her wash up. No medics. No questions. Just slammed her into a cruiser, drove her 3 miles in silence, and shoved her into interview room B. Her own precinct. Her own badge number. And now they treated her like some corner runner with a stolen Glock and a bad alibi. Good. Let them think she was cornered. Because what they didn't know was that the video had already uploaded. The audio was synced. The files had hit 2 encrypted inboxes. One to Lena, one to Deshawn. And the burner phone Rayburn gave her was still tucked into her left boot, untouched. Let them take their time. She could wait. The door creaked open. Lieutenant Brooks stepped in. He looked older, like the past few hours had carved years into his face. His uniform was wrinkled, the knot in his tie crooked. His eyes scanned her, shoulder to cheek, blood to bruises. Then flicked to the corner of the room, where a black glass panel loomed. She spoke before he did. "You knew they were going to do it today." He closed the door behind him. "Didn't sit. I didn't know it'd be like this." Maya gave him a cold smile. "They slammed me to the ground. In my uniform. In broad daylight. Over a car that doesn't belong to me. With product someone else planted. This wasn't a rogue bust, Brooks. This was an execution. I tried to stall it. But you didn't stop it." Silence. Then, "They moved without me. Said there was a tip from an informant. Said you'd been using your patrol to cover drops. Said they had surveillance from a week ago, but it's sealed under internal review." "That's all lies," she said flatly. "I know that," he said. "But they don't care." Now he sat. For the first time, he looked tired, not just weary. Defeated. "You have maybe 24 hours before this story goes public," he said. "After that, it won't matter what's true." "Oh, it'll matter," Maya said. "Because I've got the footage. I've got names. I've got dates. I've got a full trace on Orton's car, and I've got audio of that Civic's plates getting called in before the drugs were planted." His head snapped up. "You have what?" She leaned forward, eyes sharp. "I came prepared. And someone, one of your boys, Just made the one call that's going to blow this wide open. You mean Harris? Maya nodded once. I've got a message, she said. From Rayburn. That silenced the room like a thunderclap. Brooks leaned back slowly. He contacted you? Showed up at my house last night. You believe him? I believe he's scared enough to be useful. Another beat of silence passed. Then Brooks pulled something from his pocket. A small plastic bag. Inside, her badge, bent from the arrest. He set it on the table between them. You want to fix this? He asked. You've got one shot. You need to get ahead of this story. Take it out of their hands. Make it public. I've already started, she said. How? Uploaded everything to an off-site drive. Lena's holding it. And Deshawn. If something happens to me, they send the whole package to every news desk in the state. His expression shifted, half relief, half alarm. You're playing with fire, Hart. They already said it. I'm just deciding where it burns. The door opened again. This time it was Internal Affairs. Captain Mercer. Gray suit, no badge visible. She walked in like she owned the air. Maya Hart, she said. I'm Captain Mercer, Internal Affairs Division. We need to have a conversation. Maya looked to Brooks. He didn't move. Mercer set a thick folder on the table. Didn't open it. Do you know why you're here? Maya wiped the blood crust from her cheek with her sleeve. I'm here because someone panicked. Do you deny being present at the location of a known narcotics drop this morning? No. I was tipped. Do you deny tampering with a vehicle that was not registered to you? I opened the trunk after I witnessed a suspected officer drop a duffel bag containing what appeared to be packaged cocaine. Do you have proof of this? I do. Mercer's eyes narrowed. Then Maya reached into her boot. Slowly, deliberately, pulled out the burner phone, slid it across the table. No passwords, she said. Everything's there. Footage, stills, audio. And if you even think about wiping it, just know there are 2 other copies floating around. You so much as unplug my drive, and they get sent. Mercer stared at the phone like it might bite. Brooks broke the silence. I'd listen to her. Mercer didn't look at him. Who else has access to these files? She asked. Maya smiled. People who don't trust this department anymore. Mercer stood. We'll verify. If what you say is true, you'll be released today. If not, then I'm dead already, Maya said. Mercer paused, gave her one final look, then left. The room fell silent again. Brooks looked at her. You really trust Rayburn? I trust that he knows he's out of time, just like the rest of them. You think this actually works? That any of this ends with justice? Maya stared at the two-way glass. I think someone finally called their bluff. And I think they weren't ready. The door opened again. Officer Harris stepped in, eyes wide, nervous. They told me to wait outside. But I thought you should know. It's out. What's out? The video. The footage. It's online. Already viral. He held up his phone, turned the screen to face her. The headline at the top read, Officers arrest black woman in uniform. The one call that shattered their lives. The clip was only a minute long, but it was enough. She saw herself go down, heard her voice shout, I'm a cop, saw Orton's face, saw the hesitation in Harris's eyes, heard the bystanders yelling, She's a cop. What are you doing? The world had just seen it. No going back. Brooks sat back, exhaled. Maya leaned forward. Uncuffed now, bruised but steady. This is just the start, she said. And she meant it. Because the video was only the surface. The real fire was still coming. By the time Maya stepped outside the precinct, the press was already there. Cameras, mics, flashbulbs. They shouted over each other, tripping over wires and curbs and themselves just to get a better angle. Her name rang out from every direction like a chant, like a dare. Sergeant Hart, are you suing the department? Do you think this was racially motivated? Are you still an active duty officer? What was in the car? Did you plant it? She didn't stop, didn't flinch. She walked straight through them in full uniform, bruised, bleeding, calm. Like nothing had happened. Like everything had happened. Behind her, Officer Harris stood frozen near the doors, eyes darting like he might be sick. Someone grabbed for her arm. Click. She turned, deadpan. Touch me again, and you'll get real familiar with civil suits. The reporter pulled back. Another mic extended into her face. Do you have anything to say to the public? She paused, just a moment, and looked straight into the nearest camera. I've served this city for 12 years, she said. I wear this badge because I believe in accountability, including my own. What happened today wasn't law enforcement. It was an ambush. I won't be silenced. And I won't stop. Then she walked down the steps. Into the noise, through the crowd, and into the storm. Lena opened the door fast. Maya. She caught her sister in a hug before the second syllable left her mouth. God, Lena whispered. I saw the video. Are you okay? No, Maya said. But I'm here. Solo came skidding across the hardwood, barking wildly, tail wagging hard enough to knock over the umbrella stand. He jumped at her, pawed at her legs, whined until she crouched down and pressed her forehead against his. I'm okay, she told him. We're okay. Lena looked over her shoulder, voice low. You're trending. I figured. Maya followed her into the kitchen, dropped her gear, and slumped into a chair. You have the drive? She asked. Lena nodded. Backed it up 3 times. 1 to the cloud, 1 in my bag, 1 in the lockbox. Maya smiled weakly. You always did overdo it. Not this time. Silence hung between them. Then Lena folded her arms. You're not going back in, are you? I have to. No, you don't. Maya looked up. You think if I walk away now, this stops? Lena didn't answer. I have names, Maya said. Video. Testimony. Enough to expose a ring that's been operating inside the department for years. If I walk away, they bury it. They say I cracked. That I made it up. That I was angry or unstable or emotional. You were arrested in uniform. Exactly, Maya said. And that's the only reason anyone's listening. That night, Rayburn called. She didn't answer the first time. Or the second. On the 3rd try, she picked up. Didn't say anything. He didn't either. Just breathed for a second. Then, that video changed everything. I know. They've started to turn on each other. Names. I'll send a list. But it's not complete yet. There's still someone on the inside blocking every move I make. Then give me someone you can name. Matt Orton's already being suspended. Too late. He should be behind bars. I'm working on it. Maya's voice tightened. You better be. Because if the next phase hits the news before I have what I need to tie it together, we both go down. There is no next phase, Rayburn said. Oh, there is, she replied. You just haven't seen it yet. She hung up, then grabbed the file Brooks gave her. The one with the grainy surveillance still that looked like her. She flipped it open again, heart hammering. There. The woman handing off the envelope outside City Hall. Same build. Same uniform. But the walk was wrong. The posture too stiff. It wasn't her. She'd said that before. But now she knew. And now she had an idea who it was. She pulled up the old precinct roster. Cross-referenced exit records. Searched by body type, height, hair length. There. Officer Brielle Foster. Former patrol. Transferred out last year. Resigned abruptly. No incident report. No debrief. Just gone. Maya sat back in her chair. Then whispered to no one. Where the hell did you go, Brielle? The next morning, Deshawn met her in a diner off Maple and 6th. Back booth. Cheap coffee. Soggy eggs. No one looking too close. He slid a flash drive across the table. Security footage. From Orton's last narcotics call. Maya plugged it into her laptop. Orton, entering a locked building without a warrant. No partner. 15 minutes alone inside. Comes out with a smile and a sealed evidence bag. Timeline matches a false report logged hours later. She shook her head. This man's been dirty for years. And protected, Deshawn said. You don't move like that unless someone's covering your back. I need to find Foster. Who? She was framed in that surveillance photo. I think someone used her image to fake the drop. She was the test run. Before they tried it on me. You think she knows? I think she's either hiding or buried. Deshawn sipped his coffee. You really about to take on the whole department? Maya looked him dead in the eye. I already did. Her phone buzzed again that afternoon. A new text from an unlisted number. Meet me where we used to drink after shift. Come alone. She stared at it. Then whispered, no. God. No way. The contact name flicked onto the screen, Foster. Maya pulled into the gravel lot behind Danny's Tavern just after dusk. The sky was dipped in a deep orange haze, the kind that made the world feel like it was holding its breath. She killed the engine, sat for a second, then tucked her Glock into the side holster under her jacket. The burner phone stayed in her boot. She hadn't been back here in over a year. Back when this place still felt like safety. Late nights with the shift crew, trading war stories, laughing too loud, drinking too much. Back before things started going missing. Before the paperwork stopped matching the truth. Before Brielle Foster vanished like smoke. Now it just felt like a trap. She stepped through the back door. The bar hadn't changed. Still smelled like beer and bleach. Same scratched-up jukebox playing Springsteen. A guy in a lion's cap sat hunched over a draft. Nobody else. Maya's eyes scanned the room. Then she saw her. Back booth. Hoodie up. Hands on the table. Not drinking. Not smiling. Maya walked over slowly. Foster. The woman looked up. Maya froze. Same eyes. Same sharp jawline. But thinner now. Paler. Her hair had been hacked short. There was a scar under her left eye Maya didn't remember. You came, Brielle said quietly. After you disappeared? After someone used your face to fake a felony drop and make it look like me? Maya slid into the booth. Damn right I came. Brielle didn't flinch. I didn't know until later. By then, I was already gone. You resigned. They gave me a choice, she said. Either I'd disappear quietly, or Internal Affairs would discover an anonymous tip linking me to narcotics theft. Jesus. I knew Orton was moving weight. I tried to flag it. Logged the surveillance clip. Next day, the clip was gone. And so was my backup drive. Maya sat back. They burned you. They used my uniform footage, stuff from old body cams. Deep-faked my face onto a still from a drop I wasn't even near. Just enough blur to make it hard to prove, but close enough for IA to bury me. And you just left? I figured if I stayed, I'd end up dead or disappeared. Maya clenched her jaw. You're the key to the whole thing. You can prove what they did. That the surveillance footage was altered. That they framed you first. I don't have proof anymore. You have you. Your story. Sworn testimony. And if we do this right, I think I can get Rayburn to put you under protection. Brielle laughed, dry and bitter. You trust him? No. But I trust his desperation. She looked down. I had a life, Maya. A good one. All I did was tell the truth. I know, Maya said quietly. Me too. A beat passed. Then Maya reached into her jacket. Pulled out her phone. This stays off the grid. But if I can get your statement on camera, off the record, I'll protect it. I'll encrypt it, store it in 5 different places. They touch you, it goes nuclear. Brielle looked up. There was something in her face Maya hadn't seen in a long time. Hope. Or maybe just the memory of it. She nodded once. I'll talk. 2 hours later, back at Lena's, Maya uploaded the recording to the secure drive. She played it back once, headphones on, watching the screen. My name is Brielle Foster. I served with the 39th Precinct from 2012 to 2023. In my last year, I uncovered evidence that a narcotics officer, Matthew Orton, was tampering with evidence and using active busts to place unmarked product in targeted locations. When I reported it, my footage disappeared. My badge was flagged, and I was given a threat disguised as a choice: leave or be prosecuted. She paused the playback, looked over her shoulder. Lena stood in the doorway, arms crossed. That woman looked like she hadn't slept in a year, she said. She probably hasn't. Lena walked in, sat on the edge of the desk. I saw your face when she said they faked the footage. You were thinking about Mom. Maya nodded slowly. They did the same thing to her. Back when she was working for the Housing Authority. Said she falsified inspections. But it wasn't true. They never found the real culprit. No, Maya said. Because nobody looked. Lena reached over, touched her shoulder. You don't have to be the whole army, Maya. I'm not, she said. But I'm the one with the gun and the drive. So I've got to be something. The next morning, Maya got a call from Brooks. He didn't say hello. Just, they're pulling Orton in for questioning. Voluntary or forced. He doesn't know yet. You need me there. No, Brooks said. They said if you show up, you'll contaminate the process. Bullshit. I know, he said. But I also know the walls are cracking. Send me the audio from the interview, Maya said. I'll try. And Brooks. Yeah. If this goes sideways, I need you to tell the press the truth. He was silent for a moment. Then, you shouldn't have to ask me that. She hung up. Back at the station, Maya wasn't in uniform. She didn't want to give them the chance to strip it off her again. She sat in the parking lot, watching through the windshield as Orton got escorted into the back. His walk was cocky, like none of this stuck yet. He even nodded to the desk sergeant like he was clocking in. She looked down at her phone. An alert buzzed. New file received from Brooks. Orton_interview_audio_1. She played it, volume low. A different voice, Mercer's. Cool. Measured. Officer Orton, do you understand the nature of this inquiry? I understand y'all are wasting my time. Were you present at Branton Avenue on the morning of June 12th? I go where I'm told. Who gave the order? A long pause. Come again. You heard me. Who authorized the placement? You think I'm going down for this? Click. The recording stopped. Maya's heart jumped. Orton knew it was unraveling, and he was about to name names. She reached for the second phone, the burner, and texted Rayburn. He's breaking. Be ready to move. Seconds later, the reply. Too late. Orton's gone. She blinked. No way. She called Rayburn. He picked up on the first ring. What do you mean, gone? Someone pulled him mid-interview. No explanation. Not IA. Not legal. Where is he now? I don't know, Rayburn said. But he's not in the building. Maya's blood ran cold. Then she whispered the one thing neither of them wanted to admit. They're cleaning house. Maya didn't remember driving back to the precinct. She must have. The miles passed. Traffic blurred. But by the time she pulled into the far lot behind the loading dock, her hands were locked on the wheel and her mouth was dry. Orton was gone. Pulled mid-interview. Not reassigned. Not escorted. Not booked. Gone. She reached for her phone again. Called Brooks. Voicemail. Tried Rayburn. Straight to voicemail. Something was happening, and they were either in it or cut out like her. She locked her car, scanned the side entrance for movement, then made her way around the back of the building where the delivery trucks offloaded evidence transfers. A side door there led to the basement stairs. Old, unmarked, rarely used. Only a few people even remembered it existed. She keyed in the override code Brooks gave her years ago. The panel blinked green. She slipped inside. The air was heavy with that mildewed, metallic scent you only find in old foundations. Wet concrete, rusted ductwork, long-forgotten files. The hallway lights were out. She used her phone flashlight. Down here, everything felt closer to the truth. Like lies didn't echo quite as well underground. Then, just as she reached the bottom stair, a voice, behind her, should have stayed out of this, heart. She turned fast, but not fast enough. Something hit the side of her head. Not full force, measured, just enough to knock her off balance. She crashed into the wall, vision splitting. Another blow, this time to her ribs. She gasped, dropped to a knee. Stubborn bitch, the voice growled. Footsteps now. A shadow moving toward her. She pulled the Glock from her jacket, cocked it, and fired. Not at him. At the pipe above his head. Steam burst out, thick and hissing. He screamed, dropped back. Maya launched forward, elbow up, caught him under the chin. He staggered. She slammed him against the wall, gun to his temple. Light flickered. She saw his face. Sergeant Klein. Oversight Division. Trusted. Quiet. Liked by everyone. She blinked, breathing hard. You? His eyes burned with hate. You think you're some goddamn hero. No, Maya said. I think I'm the last one standing. He spat at her. She cuffed him to a rusted pipe, kicked his radio away, and searched his jacket. Nothing. No ID. No badge. No wallet. Just a burner phone. She took it. Opened the message thread. One thread. One contact. No name. Last message. Orton's being moved. Handle it. No reply. She took a photo of the screen, slid the phone into her pocket, then left him there, screaming after her as she disappeared back up the stairs. Back in her car, she dumped ice from a gas station soda into a rag and held it to her ribs. Her hands shook, but she kept moving. She called Lena. No answer. Called again. Nothing. Then finally, Jesus, Maya, are you okay? Where's Solo? With me. We're at home. Stay there. Don't answer the door for anyone. No cops. No one in uniform. You understand. What happened? They tried to take me out. Not arrest, eliminate. Lena didn't answer right away. Then how bad is it? They're tying up loose ends. That means Orton's either dead or hidden. And if they're willing to go after me inside the precinct, they'll go after anyone. Do I need to leave town? Not yet, but have a bag ready. She paused. And Lena? Yeah. Tell Deshawn to disappear for a few days. Later that night, in a parking lot off the I-75 bypass, Maya met Rayburn in the back of a rental truck. No badges. No names. Just the hum of passing cars. He looked rattled. Tie loose. Shirt wrinkled. Like he'd stopped caring how this looked. They pulled Orton to a private black site downtown, he said. Not officially listed. We think it's a decommissioned federal annex near Carson Street. They're holding him there? Or turning him into a ghost? Maya paced. If I can get him to flip, name his handlers, I can blow the whole thing up. Make it public. Live. They can't shut that down in real time. Rayburn rubbed his eyes. Even if you get to him, he's not going to talk unless he's safe. Then get me in. You want this done? You helped me break into your own people's holding site. He stared at her. You're not going to let this go, are you? She stepped closer. I had a guy try to beat me to death in a basement tonight. You think I'm walking away? Rayburn hesitated, then handed her a flash drive. This is access code clearance for the Carson site. Won't work long, 24 hours, maybe. After that, they'll know it leaked. She took it. When I go in there, she said, you better have people watching that feed. Because once this starts, I'm not stopping. He nodded. Neither am I. That night, back in her apartment, Maya sat on the edge of her bed, gun in her lap, Solo sleeping at her feet. She stared at the open laptop screen. There were names now. Evidence. Timelines. Faces. And somewhere in that Federal Ghost building was a man who held the next piece. She'd go in. She'd get the truth. Or she wouldn't come out. But either way, they were done controlling the story. The building looked abandoned. Gray stone, blacked-out windows, a single rusted gate chained halfway open like someone forgot to finish the job. No signage. No markings. Just 4 stories of silence at the edge of a dead industrial zone. Carson Annex. Maya parked 3 blocks away, under the shadow of an old rail bridge, and walked the rest of the distance with her hood up and her sidearm strapped low under her coat. The drive Rayburn gave her was tucked in her bra, encrypted again, and set to trigger a mass file dump if she didn't reset a timer on her phone every hour. No way out once she went in. That was the deal. The sidewalk cracked under her boots as she crossed the street. A pigeon startled out of the doorway. Otherwise, nothing. No movement. No cameras she could see, but she knew better. She stepped up to the door. A keypad. She plugged in the drive. The panel blinked green. Click. The lock released. She slipped inside. The lobby was hollow. No furniture. No sound but her own steps. Dust coated the air. A long hallway stretched ahead, lined with doors that probably hadn't been used for a decade, at least not by anyone who wanted to be seen. She moved fast. Right hand on her Glock. Left brushing the wall for bearings. Rayburn had given her only one detail. Orton would be held 2 levels down, 3rd door on the left. Anything else, she was on her own. The elevator didn't work. She found the stairwell. As she opened the door, she heard it. Voices. Far off. Low. Male. She froze. Steps above. She slipped into the dark, back flat against the wall. The voices drew closer. Boots heavy on metal. She counted 3. Orders were to keep him alive until they verified the account logins. No reason to rush it. Let him sweat. Guy thinks he's untouchable. Typical. They passed. Maya exhaled and descended, 1 stair at a time, barely breathing. She reached sublevel 2. The door wasn't locked. Just heavy. She eased it open. Cold air hit her face. Fluorescent flicker. Gray concrete hallway. She moved fast. Quiet. 3rd door on the left. She crouched, peeked through the reinforced glass. Inside, slumped in a chair, head down, was Orton. Alive. Uncuffed. But his face. Bruised. Split lip. One eye swollen shut. Dried blood on his collar. She opened the door. He didn't move until it clicked shut behind her. Then his head lifted, slow. His good eye blinked once. Heart. She stepped into the light. You didn't think I was going to let you vanish, did you? He laughed, then winced. They'll kill you for this. They already tried. Basement pipe room. Didn't go well for them. He sat back, as if trying to remember how to breathe. I thought you hated me. I did, she said. Still might. But right now, you're the only person who can help me stop this before it gets someone else killed. He stared at her. You don't know who you're messing with. Then tell me. Silence. Then, softly. I don't have names. Not real ones. Just code tags. Contacts. You can get me to the accounts? He hesitated. I'm the only one who knows where the last ledger is. The one that ties it all back to funding. They were using internal seizure reports to redirect money. Ghost purchases. Recycled busts. Then they started placing pressure on city officials. Build up leverage. Influence city council votes, even judge appointments. Blackmail through drug stings. He nodded. And you were next. They wanted to take you off the map. Make you the symbol of what happens when a clean cop steps out of line. Maya's jaw locked. You have to give me the ledger. If I do, I'm dead. If you don't, she said, you'll still be dead. Just slower. He closed his eyes. There's a locker. Terminal station. Old bus depot. Gray line. Keys in my boot. She retrieved it. Locker 43. Inside's a USB. That's everything. Who else knows about it? No one. She stared at him. And the one pulling the strings. A beat. He opened his swollen eye. Whispered, "It's not just one." Before she could press him, bang. A shot echoed in the hallway. Then shouting. Maya turned, gun drawn. More footsteps. Closer this time. Fast. "Stay here," she said. Orton laughed. "Where am I gonna go?" She cracked the door. 3 men, moving tactically. All in black. No insignia. Not cops. Contractors. Kill team. They were here for cleanup. She moved fast. Slid into the nearest utility closet just as they passed. Waited. Breathe. Count. She stepped out as the last one passed. Caught him with an elbow to the throat. Dragged him in. Gun. Comlink. Vest. Silent now. 2 left. She crept forward, following. 1 peeled left. She took the right one clean. 2 shots to the vest, 1 to the knee. He dropped, screaming. The last man turned. Too slow. Maya slammed him into the wall, gun under his chin. "Who sent you?" He laughed. Too late. Then chomped. Click. His body went rigid. Cyanide. She dropped him. He hit the floor hard. Back in the holding room, Orton stood now, eyes wide. They're killing their own. Cleanups never leave loose ends. "I'm not ready to die," he said, voice cracking. "Then don't." She dragged the conscious shooter into the holding room and cuffed him to the chair. He writhed, but the knee was gone. She turned to Orton. "We're leaving. Now." 15 minutes later, they reached her car. She stuffed him into the back, locked the doors, and drove. Fast. Phone buzzed. "Rayburn, you're not gonna like this," he said before she spoke. "What?" There was a fire at the terminal station. Explosion. Locker area's gone. Maya's blood ran cold. "Someone beat us to it." Rayburn's voice was thin. "You were compromised." She looked in the rear view. Orton was shaking. She floored it. Because now the ledger was gone. And all she had left was a broken man in the back seat and a city full of enemies. But she wasn't finished. Not even close. Rain started just past midnight. Not a soft drizzle. Not a cleansing summer storm. This was hard, mean rain. Slapping the windshield like it wanted to drown the city. Maya drove with both hands tied on the wheel, her Glock within reach. Orton passed out in the back seat. The adrenaline that had kept him upright was gone now, replaced with pain, fear, and the crash of too many betrayals. He moaned once. Didn't open his eyes. They were on back roads now. No highway cameras. No traffic lights. No watchers. She wasn't taking him home. She was taking him to someone she hadn't spoken to in 2 years. They reached the edge of Lincoln County around 1:40 a.m. Maya pulled into the long gravel drive of a farmhouse that looked abandoned from the road. It wasn't. Lights flicked on before she reached the porch. A figure stepped out, tall, gray-bearded, wearing jeans and a thermal shirt. A shotgun held low but ready. "Hell," he muttered as Maya stepped out of the car. "I was hoping I'd never see you like this." "Hi, Uncle Nate," she said. He lowered the shotgun. "You look like a walking felony. I need your basement. One night. Just until I can figure out where to go next." "Who's that in the back?" "Scumbag turned whistleblower." Nate sighed. "Family's family. Bring him in." The basement was cold and dry. Cinder block walls. A cot in the corner. It had been a storm shelter once, then a workbench space. Now just storage and dust. Maya helped Orton down the stairs, one arm slung over her shoulders, his breath ragged. She eased him onto the cot. He groaned, but didn't resist. Nate stood at the top of the stairs. "You want ice?" "Whiskey first," she said. They sat at the kitchen table in silence. Maya sipped from a chipped mug. Nate poured himself a glass and lit a cigarette he'd told her years ago he'd quit. "You always did find the mess," he said. "I think the mess found me this time." "You think he'll make it through the night?" "He's too scared to die yet." Nate studied her. "You trust him?" "No. But you need him." Maya nodded. "What's your next move?" "Rebuild. They burned the ledger, but I still have the photos of the burner phone, the drop footage, Brielle's testimony. And I have Orton." "Is that enough?" "Not yet." She looked up, eyes sharp. "But I have a plan." At sunrise, she went back down to the basement. Orton was awake, barely. "You look like hell," she said. He tried to sit up. Failed. "I didn't think you'd come. You didn't deserve it. But justice isn't about deserving. It's about doing what's right, even when it tastes like shit." He coughed a bitter laugh. "I kept a backup," he said. Maya blinked. "What?" "Not of the full ledger. Just the contact tree. It's in my head. Names. Handles. Who reported to who? I can give you the structure. You realize how much that's worth? He nodded. I also realize how fast I'll die if the wrong people find out I still have it. Then we make you visible. What? We go public. You and me. Together. You're insane. You want to live? We shine so much light on you they can't touch you without the world watching. We burn the whole house down, and you hold the match with me. He shook his head. They'll kill me anyway. No, she said. They'll try. And they'll fail. Because I'll be right there, and I'm not done. Orton stared at her. Then, finally, he nodded. By 10 a.m., the plan was moving. Lena helped set up a secure live stream using an old activist friend from college. Rayburn agreed to leak it to 3 reporters with enough spine to run it raw. Deshawn sent over the last names he'd dug up from internal transfers, low-level enforcers, paperwork ghosts, quiet career guys who'd shuffled up through suspicious promotions. The pattern was there. They tried to scrub it, but the digital fingerprints remained. At noon, Maya sat in front of a camera, Orton beside her, face bruised, jaw tight. Lena held up 3 fingers. Live. Maya leaned in. My name is Sergeant Maya Hart. I've served with the 39th Precinct for 12 years. 2 weeks ago, I was arrested while in uniform, on duty, by fellow officers. What they didn't know is that I was already investigating a criminal network operating inside our department. She paused. Beside her, Orton swallowed hard. This man, she continued, was part of that network. He has since come forward, willingly, to testify. What you're about to hear is not a conspiracy theory. It's not speculation. It's the truth. Orton leaned toward the mic. I was ordered to plant drugs, to falsify reports, to intimidate civilians. But it didn't stop there. I was part of a system that manipulated court outcomes and city politics. I stayed silent because I was afraid. Maya spoke again. But we're not silent anymore. They listed names, dates, pseudonyms, case numbers. Then Maya ended with this. If anything happens to either of us, this video stays up. The backups go out. And the rest of the files, including facial recognition logs and radio transcripts, will be released. She looked directly into the lens. You came for me in the dark. I'm answering in daylight. Then she killed the feed. 3 hours later, a warrant went out for Sergeant Klein. 2 local officials issued statements denying knowledge. Rayburn called. You just cracked the dam, he said. But this water's not clean. It's coming for all of us now. Maya sat back, Orton asleep upstairs. Lena watching the door. Her badge still bent on the table. We hold the line, she said. Until it all falls down. The break-in wasn't loud. There were no shattered windows, no blaring alarms. No chaos. It was surgical. When Maya and Lena returned to Lena's house just after midnight, they knew something was off before they even opened the door. Solo didn't bark. He always barked. Maya stepped inside first, gun drawn. The air was still. The living room looked untouched. The curtains were closed, the lights off. But there was an emptiness to the space that had nothing to do with sound. Lena, Maya called. Stay behind me. They moved room by room. Solo was in the bathroom, tail tucked, locked in from the outside. When Maya let him out, he bolted past her and didn't stop until he curled behind Lena, shaking. He'd never hidden from anything. Maya's stomach turned to ice. The office was ransacked. Not destroyed. Not even messy. But precise. The hard drives were gone. All of them. The backups. The cloud syncs. The burner laptop. Even the second router, ripped straight from the wall. Whoever came knew exactly what to take, and exactly where to find it. Lena stood frozen in the doorway. They were here less than 2 hours ago. You're sure? I checked the camera feed at 10:18. All clean. Maya opened the security system app on her phone. No recent activity. They wiped it, she said. Solo let out a low growl. Maya walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, reached behind the frozen vegetables. Still there, a thumb drive taped under the tray. She pulled it out, turned it in her hand. You kept a drive off-grid? Lena asked. Always. But it wasn't the same. This one only had her raw video and Orton's full interview. No ledger fragments. No officer connection logs. No financial thread. It was proof, but not ammunition. The firepower had been taken, and whoever did it had access to Lena's private router. That meant this wasn't just a freelance cleanup. It was official, sanctioned. They were in her tech, which meant she picked up her phone, checked her secure messaging app. Deshawn hadn't responded since 9:12 p.m. 3 texts, all unread. Lena, she said. Call Deshawn. Now. Lena dialed. The line rang twice, then clicked straight to voicemail. He always answers, she said. Her voice cracked. Maya was already moving. She threw on her jacket, grabbed her keys. I'm going to his shop. I'm coming with. No, Maya snapped. Then, gentler. You're compromised. If they knew your router, they know your car. Your phone. They know where you live. I need you to stay here, off-grid. Lena hesitated. You think they took him? I think, Maya said, loading a fresh mag into her Glock. They're tired of losing. Deshawn's shop was a dark hole on the corner of 14th and Highland, tucked under a busted neon sign and guarded by a single security light. Maya's headlights hit the garage door as she pulled up. Half open. Not good. She parked 2 buildings down and walked up on foot. No cars inside. No music. No chatter. The front office door had been kicked in. The lock splintered. She entered slowly, gun raised. The light was still on. Blood on the floor. A smear, not a pool. Dragged. Maya moved toward the back room. There, on the desk, was a cell phone and a scrap of paper. She picked up the paper first. It was a parking ticket, issued hours ago, 8:43 p.m., downtown. She turned it over. A single word written on the back in smudged blue ink. Run. Deshawn's phone lit up in her hand. A missed call. Unknown number. She tapped voicemail. If you're hearing this, I didn't make it out. I tried to hold the drive. I fought, but they were too fast. They had my face on the system, knew the locks, the codes. They said your name, Maya. Said you were next. Said the press bought the story, but not for long. Whatever you do, don't trust anyone in uniform, not even Brooks. Not even Rayburn. They said they'd flip them both. Maya, I'm sorry. I wasn't enough. Silence. Then, tell Lena I'm proud of her. Maya gripped the phone so hard it cracked. She backed out of the shop, got in her car, and just sat there. It was all falling apart now. The ledger, the evidence, the backup files, and now Deshawn. They'd erased the core of her case in less than 6 hours. All she had left was Foster, Orton, and her word. But she wasn't going to run. She was going to fight, and she wasn't going to play defense anymore. At 4:17 a.m., she sent a message to every reporter she'd worked with, every ally who had even once whispered about corruption. Subject, you're next. Body, they're burning witnesses, stealing evidence, flipping people inside. You wanted your story? You're in it now. Be at City Hall tomorrow. Noon. I'll bring the last piece. Bring cameras. Bring security. Bring truth. She hit send, then turned off her phone, and began writing everything she knew by hand. Names, places, tactics, account numbers, crosslinks. She worked until sunrise, a gun by her side, a dog at her feet, grief in her chest. Because she wasn't just exposing corruption anymore. She was waging war, and she'd already lost someone. There would be no mercy left. City Hall was already swarming when Maya arrived. Reporters clustered near the front steps, herded into pins by barricades and steel-eyed officers. Cameras on tripods, cell phones raised. A dozen boom mics poking into the sky like bayonets. The whole front plaza buzzed, not like a press conference, like a battlefield. She parked 2 blocks away and walked in. No uniform, no badge, no more pretending to be a piece of something broken. Just jeans, a black jacket, and the worn notebook in her hand. The one she'd filled overnight with every name, every detail, every betrayal. Her truth, raw and written by hand, because it was the only thing they hadn't touched. Solo walked at her side, leash in one hand, Glock holstered beneath the coat. She crossed the barricades, nodded once to the first reporter who spotted her, then kept walking. Cameras snapped. Voices rose. The press surged, but the officers on duty let her pass. She could feel their eyes on her. Some of them knew. Some of them didn't want to know. And some were just waiting to see what she'd say. She took the steps 2 at a time and stopped halfway up. No podium, no shield. Just her, alone, facing the city. She looked down at the sea of faces, at the blinking red lights of recorders, at the sunlight slicing through the clouds like a spotlight. And then she spoke. My name is Maya Hart. A pause. The crowd quieted. Mics pushed forward. I've served as a police officer in this city for 12 years. But I'm not speaking to you today as a cop. I'm speaking as a woman who was set up to fall silent. Cameras flashed. 2 weeks ago, I was arrested while in uniform, on duty, by fellow officers acting on a fabricated tip. What followed was a cover-up meant to erase not just my voice, but the voices of dozens of others before me. She held up the notebook. This book contains names, dates, operations run out of this very city that weaponized law enforcement not to protect people, but to control them. Evidence planted, court cases manipulated, people silenced, some with threats, some with violence. Her voice didn't waver. One of those voices was my friend, Deshaun Ricks, a former officer who was erased last night. Gasps moved through the crowd like wind. I'm naming names today, not to shame individuals, but to reveal the system they served. One that breeds loyalty to silence. One that rewards corruption with promotion and punishes integrity with disappearance. She opened the notebook, started to read. Names, badge numbers, dates of falsified arrests, department memos with falsified seals, code words used for covert account transfers, backroom meetings between city officials and task force commanders. More names, some in uniform, some in suits. Each one dropped like a stone in still water. And then she said, they said I was crazy, that I was bitter, that I was dangerous. But I wasn't the danger. I was the mirror. Silence. Even the press didn't move. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm not here to protect my job. I'm here to burn down the lie that law and order means the same thing for everyone. Because I wore the badge. I followed the rules. And still, I was face down in handcuffs. She closed the notebook. Let this be the last time you look away. She stepped down, handed the notebook to the first journalist who reached her. And then she walked. No protection, no escort, just solo beside her and the full weight of the truth behind her. What happened next happened fast. By nightfall, #Maya Hart was the #1 trending name in the country. Her speech played on every major network, uncut. The notebook was scanned, verified, and published online within hours. The mayor issued a formal statement. So did the governor. Rayburn resigned. Brooks disappeared. And Officer Matt Orton, under protection now, testified before a federal grand jury. A task force was formed. Not a symbolic one, a real one. Independent. Funded. With teeth. They called it Operation Glasslight. Maya didn't speak again publicly for a long time. She left the city for a while. Disconnected. Took solo and vanished into the silence she'd earned. But the war she started kept burning. People spoke up. Files came out. Cases were reopened. Some people went to jail. Others ran. And some were still waiting to be caught. A year later, a reporter asked her in a private sit-down, "What would you say to the people who still don't believe you? Who think this was political? Or exaggerated?" Maya stared at the floor for a moment, then said, "I didn't need them to believe me." She looked up. "I needed them to stop pretending they couldn't see."